It's hour two of Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. I'm Sean Stiers, joined by Vince D'Addario. Vince, it's the 6 o'clock hour. That means it's rapid fire time, my friend.
Woohoo! Let's go, baby.
All right, here we go. Do you think we'll know who Notre Dame's starting quarterback is at this time next week? Plain and simple.
So I do. I do think that we will have a good idea of where things stand after Sunday. I think, whether it's going to be an absolute declaration on Sunday or whether we get a very good idea reading between the lines on Sunday. I think we'll be in a good place where we can stop having this conversation and start focusing on Miami and what that's going to look like and what the offense and the defense are going to look like. So long story short, yes, I do.
My feeling is yes. If we don't know who it is 1 week from today, I don't think it's because they need more time and all those
right.
Like he might say he needs more but I think at that point, if that's the case, they're just hiding it from everybody until game time, as close to game time as he wants to get. Whether we get that, a week later with the first, game week press conference and all that kind of stuff. My feeling is, because again, as of today, we are 2 weeks into training camp. Today is the end of the second week of training camp. So tomorrow starts the third week of training camp. So you're going to be about 2.5 weeks into camp as of Sunday when Marcus Freeman holds that press conference at noon. So I feel like we're going to find out then.
Yep. I am very interested. I don't usually go to the press conferences. I think that might be one that I might attend.
Oh, making an exception, huh? Well, it is Sunday.
It's Sunday. It's a Sunday, baby.
You've got more time.
Yeah, it's a Sunday. Let's do this.
What will it mean if we don't know by this time next week?
So
I think I kind of blew my answer a little bit.
You did, but I
jumped ahead.
For me, I think I'll be able to tell a lot about the way he's answering the question. If he does not announce one, I think that I will be able to glean, okay, he didn't announce it because there's no clear-cut winner, or he didn't announce it because he just doesn't want to put it out there before the Miami game. Those are two different reasons. You know what I mean? If he doesn't announce it because there's no clear-cut winner, that's a little concerning, to be perfectly honest with you. And you can take it whichever way you want, that they're just both so good they can't make a decision. I don't like that. If they're both so good, then there's a way to maybe even get them both on the field or have packages or whatever the case may be. And you need to start practicing that against Miami. If he doesn't announce it because he just doesn't want to put it out there, cool. He doesn't know anything to us as fans or as media. He doesn't know anything to us. I don't see him being like that. Him being Marcus Freeman, but if he decides to do that, okay, cool. I'll see you August 31st.
I mean, there is some benefit into holding it back, right? Like to make Miami prepare for both quarterbacks, because there are enough differences between the two in skill sets, which was on display in the blue gold game. Like Miami was able to watch the blue gold game like everybody else because Notre Dame played their spring game and actually televised their spring game, and Marcus Freeman didn't run scared there. But I mean, there is some benefit to holding back, and that's what I think it means if we don't know 1 week from today. And again, the press conference is Sunday, so we would know even before that, but we're talking today. That's why I said, do you think we'll know a week from today? If we don't know a week from today, I feel like it's like we're probably not going to find out much before kickoff. But that would be some next level gamesmanship for Marcus Freeman that we just quite frankly haven't seen from him.
Exactly. That you nailed it. That's exactly right. That's not something we've seen from Marcus Freeman, which is why I don't anticipate it. But if he doesn't name a starter on the 17th, the next opportunity that we're going to have for him to name a starter is going to be his weekly press conference prior to the Miami game,
right?
Which is what, Monday?
Well,
the Monday of game week.
I'm actually, we haven't got that schedule yet. Yeah. I'm curious. Typically, it has been Monday, but because the game is Sunday, I don't know if they would put, because how they've tried to move the days and keep it as close to a regular game week as possible with the schedule and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it could be Tuesday theoretically, but yeah,
that's definitely possible. So either the 25th or the 26th, if we don't know on the 17th. Selfishly, I hope he decides on the 17th so that we can kind of put that topic to bed and move forward. But he doesn't owe me anything, So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. My gut, I think a lot of us are just thinking like Sunday press conference feels like it's going to happen then.
Correct. And I want to pull this up just because it seems pertinent. Matt West, do we get to see any more practices? Don't believe so, right? We're done?
No, there's one more partial viewing.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Remember, we're not supposed to say when and all
right. I couldn't remember because it's obviously one Bobby that I can't be at. So
yeah.
One
more, basically 4 period is what we're scheduled to see.
Yeah, no more full practices where you actually get stuff out of it.
Right. Right. ESPN did one stat to know for every AP Top 25 football team. Here is Notre Dame's stat to know for ESPN. The Irish have 5 true road games this season: Miami, Arkansas, Boston College, Pitt, Stanford. The program last won more than 3 true road games in 2021 when the Irish went 4-0, compiling an 8-4 record in true road games since then, including 3-0 last season. So that is ESPN's stat to know for Notre Dame. Any thoughts on what that could mean for the Irish this season, Vince?
Not much. I mean, yes, they are not used to having a bunch of away games. Okay. The difference is they do play a lot of neutral site games. And so they might as well be away games for Notre Dame. Like I realize there's the Shamrock Series, which is like a home game, but you're still flying or busing and you're still staying in a hotel. You're still doing all the things that you would normally do at an away game. It's just maybe the crowd is a little more friendly. Like I don't, I wouldn't say the crowd at Yankee Stadium is going to be a whole lot less friendly than the crowd at Boston College. You know what I mean? Like it's still an away game. So I think that's kind of a weak stat, to be perfectly honest with you.
I do as well. I was very disappointed. Like when I saw, I was expecting him to, to bring something with a little more oomph behind it, than the road games. I mean, it's like, does that, and Ohio State, Clemson, USC, Louisville. Those are the 4 road losses, by the way.
Legit.
Pretty legit competition for the most part. I mean, Ohio State was, I'm trying to think of what they ended up being. That's, I don't think they made the playoff that year. But in any case, like you're talking about, really Louisville is still kind of the one that confounds you a little bit, the way they played in that Louisville game. But otherwise, like USC was a New Year's Six Bowl team. Ohio State was a New Year's Six Bowl team at the very least that season. And, Clemson, that's the first time Notre Dame had been to Clemson in 7-8 years or something like that. So, I was just kind of scratching my head at them using that as their stat to know about Notre Dame.
And they always, there's the pundits are always like, oh, Notre Dame doesn't play any actual away games and all this other stuff. Well, it's because they're Notre Dame and they don't have to. They can have a Shamrock Series game where they're going to sell it out. They force the hand of a Navy or a Georgia Tech to have those games in NFL stadiums because they want to take advantage of the money that Notre Dame is bringing in.
And they're also not playing Kennesaw State in their home games or Mercer or whoever else.
And and again, yet another reason why Notre Dame's never going to go into a conference. I shouldn't say never. They don't have to go into a conference right now because of the demand. Like they demand, butts and seats when they go on the road, which is why they don't play on a lot of campuses, because they draw too many fans, So that's an overblown stat about never, the true road games. Okay.
Tommy's wondering about your microphone tonight.
Uh-oh.
You do sound a little different. We don't have to try to make adjustments. And like when you've typed, like that was obvious that you were typing.
Oh, my bad.
So,
Okay,
so I don't
noted.
know if it's picking up a little bit differently today
Okay,
or
yeah, I have to take a look.
what. So yeah, I heard those fingers.
Oh
You know,
boy,
those fast fingers flying.
got to be a little more careful. Got to mute myself.
Okay, so what would your stat be to know about the Irish?
So I tried to think a little bit outside the box on this one. So my stat is the number 2, and here's why.
Okay.
Year 2 of Mike Denbrock as an offensive coordinator. So I went back and I looked at year 2 at Cincinnati, and I looked at year 2 at LSU. Year 2 at Cincinnati, they were like 23rd in scoring offense, about 23rd or so in total offense, but they were 11-2, scored a lot of points. You know, they were very successful offensively. And then, of course, we know what Mike Denbrock did in year 2 at LSU. They were the number 1 offense in the country, had a Heisman Trophy winner. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of, I still think no matter who the quarterback is going to be, this offense is going to be dynamic. They're going to score a lot of points. They're going to get a lot of yards. They're going to push the ball down the field. It's going to be a fun offense to watch. Not that watching Riley Leonard give up his body wasn't fun to watch, because it was.
Sure.
Right? But this is going to be a different looking offense, and you don't have to be an X's and O's, savant to notice how different this offense is going to look, in my opinion, overall. So that's what I would say. I'd say 2. Year 2 of Mike Denbrock.
All right. Year two for Denbrock. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Good one to watch. I like that.
What do you got? Do you got one?
Somewhat creative with that.
Thank you. I know it's not usually like me.
I know. So mine is 5.66, as in yards per carry for Notre Dame last season. 7th in the nation last year. Jeremiah Love, 6.9 yards per carry. Jadarian Price, 6.2 yards per carry. Riley Leonard, 4.9. And Riley Leonard obviously played a factor in that, but I'm also looking at they were 7th in the nation in yards per carry last year, in spite of the fact that the passing offense ranked 101st.
Woo.
So with this offensive line that they're going to have, with those 2 running backs still coming back, and what we all think is going to be a much greater downfield threat, what could that look like for this team this season? So that's my number for Notre Dame. The 5.66 ranked 7th in the nation last year. Will they push that up even closer, to like maybe even a 5.8 this year, 5.9? That's what I'm wondering.
Ooh. Okay. I like it.
When you've got the threat of the passing, and like yesterday, we were talking about how that boundary threat with Malachi Fields, maybe kind of helps out that running game as well, kind of open things up, and the way you have to play him. So Vince, there's this mentalist named Oz Pearlman. Now, for those who've seen it in print, it looks like the Wizard of Oz, but his name is actually Oz. It is Oz Pearlman. He showed up at Notre Dame this week and apparently did his mentalist act for the team. Cree Thomas posted a short clip of it on his TikTok. Here's my question, though, Vince. Why has Oz Pearlman become part of the sports culture? How has this happened?
It's a great question, because he's gone to a bunch of NFL teams. He's been to a bunch of college football teams. I mean, what he does is amazing. I would love to see this guy, obviously, in person, to just witness it with my own eyes, because I'm just generally a skeptic when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I want to see it with my own eyes. I guess I'm the doubting Thomas of the group. But it's amazing. But he has made a living going to all these team training centers, essentially.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to get that.
He's not
gig.
exclusive to sports, because again, he's a mentalist. It's like he's got his little whiteboard and he's like, okay, I'm going to write this down. Now you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. And it's like, boom. And like the thing that Cree Thomas posted, it was Michael Jackson, and he got it right. I think the first time I remember seeing him was the Hard Knocks. I believe it was 2 years ago. He went to the Jets. It was Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, so that would have been not last year, but the year before. 2 years ago, Aaron Rodgers' first training camp with the Jets before he tore his Achilles in the season opener. He did his thing, and of course, all the players, freak out because
Oh yeah.
he's got it all right and everything else. And so I don't know. I don't know if that kind of started this windmill snowball effect for O's Pearlman, but like you see him on ESPN all the time and all these
Yeah.
different places. It's like I have no idea how he became intertwined in the sports culture, but there he is. And
Yeah.
like you said, he makes a living apparently out of doing this, travel around and
I mean, good for him. I would love to go check out some of these, training facilities and all these other things, and then
I
do
know.
a 10-minute little shtick up front where we guess the phone code of somebody or whatever it is I've
Right.
seen him doing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, man, it's a great gig if you can get it. Good for
I
him.
suppose. I was thinking, Vince, had a few questions from the mailbag stuck back there that we didn't get a chance to get to
Okay.
at the start that I think might make good, some jump them into rapid fire here.
Let's do it.
Joseph asks me, as a Notre Dame and Dallas Cowboys fan, how did I envision Jimmy Johnson? We were talking, of course, Miami
Ooh.
Notre Dame rivalry in the first hour of the show. Did you hate him in college, then view him separately in the NFL? Personally, never liked him. However, a great talent evaluator. I think I've probably told the story a couple times, but as a Dallas Cowboys fan, obviously the 1988 season, Notre Dame wins the national championship. It is February 1989. I am home on leave for, I believe, a week as I'm getting ready, in the Army, getting ready to go off to spend the next 2.5 years in Germany. So I'm home. The news comes down that Jerry Jones has bought the Dallas Cowboys and fired Tom Landry and hired Jimmy Johnson. And I find this news out. My dad, who was a Washington Redskins fan, still a Washington fan, he wakes me up to tell me this news that they fired Tom Landry, they hired Jimmy Johnson. He kind of laughs and he walks out of the room. So that's how I found out. And I was diabolically, I could not believe it. Tom Landry, only coach of the Dallas Cowboys at that time, gets fired. Icon now. He had obviously been slipping, his last few years in Dallas, which is part of what led to this whole thing. And I had actually, I had been stationed at Goodfellow Air Force Base in San Angelo, Texas, the previous, I think it was 3 months prior to that, and I actually got to go see him coach. We went to a Cowboys game, walked up on Thanksgiving Day. Hardly anyone was there. They were playing the Houston Oilers. Got to see Landry, coach his last Thanksgiving Day game at Texas Stadium, but he was unceremoniously fired. I couldn't believe it. I was beside myself. I couldn't stand Jimmy Johnson. Loved everything about Tom Landry. Obviously, winning makes up for a lot. And ultimately, a few years later, might not have liked Jimmy Johnson on day one, but he basically that team and, kicked the Cowboys into gear and a different energy. So that was how I felt about that.
You can feel, not you specifically, but like you in general, like you can feel however you want about Jimmy Johnson because of the way, he is thought of by Notre Dame fans. And I get it. Like I've heard the stories, I've watched the documentaries, like I get it 100%. But you also have to give respect for what he did off the field for the Cowboys. Like what he did in the back office, with
Right.
all these trades and
The Herschel Walker trade.
Yeah. And what that became, those draft picks and then who they drafted and all of that. I mean, not only did he secure all those draft picks, but like 90% of those draft picks hit and they hit big.
Right.
Like that. I never realized that at the time.
And they traded all these players to the Cowboys, and each of the players had a stipulation. If he is waived, then you get this draft pick, on the back end. So Jimmy Johnson ends up cutting most of these guys, and people thought that they were crazy. It's like you traded Herschel Walker and you got all these players in return. Well, they ended up cutting him, turning him into draft picks, and some of those guys turned into Hall of Fame players
Yeah.
when it was all said and done.
His
Or
batting
at the
average.
very least, like very significant
Yeah.
members of those 3 Super Bowl winning teams. He's the guy. Jimmy Johnson is the guy, like the draft value chart. Like if you trade, this pick, you need to get this.
Right, the points,
these
and all
picks.
that.
Yeah, the points.
Yeah.
He's the one who created all that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I did not know that. But it makes sense because
and they still use that today.
His batting average for drafting is unparalleled. It's just absolutely unparalleled what he was able to accomplish.
The Cowboys Netflix documentary comes out next week, and I was just listening to Bill Simmons talking about it today, and he is, like a diehard Patriots fan. He doesn't care anything about the Cowboys, but he basically said it's excellent, and it's not just a one-sided Jerry Jones, type thing. They get into apparently a lot of the, the Jerry Jimmy stuff and a lot of the awkward things and the way things went down. So looking forward to that.
Is it for the entire lifespan of the Cowboys?
It is basically, I think it kind of starts around, it is the 90s Cowboys.
Okay, gotcha.
From like the Jerry Jimmy coming in and taking over. And so it is focused quite a bit on that. Oh, Bobby. Yeah, I know. We answered one Cowboys question, and that's all we do is talk Dallas Cowboys.
I am not a Cowboys fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I will watch that documentary because I love football and I love the goings on behind the scenes that this is going to cover. You know what I mean? Regardless of whatever team it is, it doesn't matter. And they had success. I like to learn from success.
So Beezer 12 Washingbeard says he's soon going to be finishing up his education degree. Ooh. This time next year, he'll be teaching and hopefully coaching some football, played K through 12. Any advice from Vince for the classroom and the field?
Well, since you're going to be a first-year coach, you want to volunteer for whatever they want you to do. Just be a sponge, do whatever they want you to do. I was an assistant freshman coach my first year, and I wasn't even promised to get paid. And I did get paid, which was great, but just volunteer for whatever you can do, make yourself invaluable. And honestly, the same kind of goes for teaching. Foster those relationships in the classroom with the kids, whatever level you are going to be teaching, you want to foster those relationships first. The content will come. You can learn the content the day before you teach it. Like, that's no big deal. Don't even worry about that. It's the relationships with the students that's number one. And so I would do that. And then the classic advice that you always get, make friends with the janitors and the secretaries because they're the ones that run the building. And so if you are friendly with them, you'll get everything that you need. So that would be my advice right there.
All right. Good stuff from the educator-in-chief, Vince D'Addario.
And be nice to your deans. If you got a dean in your building, be nice to them too.
Bobby's following up. Nothing wrong if you were based in Dallas, Notre Dame fans all over the world. This might disappoint you as a Notre Dame fan, Bobby, but Notre Dame, the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Yankees, the Los Angeles Lakers are basically the same team in different sports.
Correct.
Because they all have interest all over the country and all over the world.
And I dislike those other three teams for the same reason that people dislike Notre Dame. So
right.
There you go.
They're all polarizing teams. Yep. All of them. Yes. And since we are accused by people like Tommy of only talking about the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears, I will ask you this, Vince.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bills are doing Hard Knocks for the first time this year. Like a lot of teams, they resisted doing it because of the cameras and the potential distraction. Should that even be a big deal in the, in 2025 in the current world we live in, cameras and distractions for NFL, professional athletes?
So even if you hadn't added that little caveat at the end, that would have been my response. Like
Okay.
the world we live in right now, cameras are in your face at all times because everybody has one in their pocket.
Yeah. Go to a
And
restaurant.
and to be honest with you, every single team in the NFL, as well as every single high level college team, they're recording everything for social media, for whatever. Like they have cameras in your face at all times. Now, are there going to be more cameras because of Hard Knocks? Sure. But Notre Dame has a documentary that they do. All of these different schools, even when Notre Dame isn't doing the documentary, there's students that have cameras that are right in the face of the players after they score a touchdown or get an interception or
Yeah.
whatever because they use it for social media. You know what I mean? So what's the difference? Like that shouldn't even be a thing anymore. Cameras are going to be around at all times. So
Especially by the time they're professional athletes,
right,
because, even if we're just, and I agree with what you're saying, everyone's got a camera basically, because every phone is a camera nowadays. And by the time you're in the NFL, I would think that, maybe the smaller schools are a little bit different, but virtually every school has its own, social media department. They're putting all this stuff on social media. They're blasting it everywhere. You've got college teams, obviously, like Notre Dame, that had its own reality series last year, if that's what we're, docu-series, whatever
right.
you want to call it, behind the scenes. They've done it before. You've got, there's this series on Netflix right now about, all these different schools in the SEC. They had, behind the scenes cameras following them around. So I don't understand why an NFL team would resist. And a lot of them do. A lot of them still do. And like Hard Knocks, I still watch it every year. And, I've watched every Hard Knocks series in existence since they started at 25 or however many years ago. And they're all like, especially now, it's kind of like American Idol. Like if you watch the early seasons of American Idol where like Simon Cowell would actually, like rip some of the singers and stuff like that, kind of like make them feel bad. Nobody's made to feel bad anymore. And it's the same with Hard Knocks. Like they don't even let them, like a lot of, they used to show the meetings where the player would come in and it's like, you're cut now, that kind of stuff. They don't even show that kind of stuff anymore. So like, you're not getting any inside information. The worst thing that's happening on Hard Knocks is the stuff with the Giants last year with the whole Saquon Barkley stuff. And, that was the summer edition before they actually even got to training camp. So I don't get what the big deal is. Everyone's on camera almost 24/7 now, it seems like.
No doubt. And you're right. It is
Tommy
very
says
soft.
we need to get back to shaming.
Can't say I disagree.
Shame.
For shame. There's good and there's bad. You should show the bad too. Like if it's gonna be a documentary, like it's not all sunshine and lollipops, I mean, there is a negative side to team sports. It's when you get cut. It's
Right.
negative,
Right.
I don't know why that's protected.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly, like you follow a player around for an episode or two, and like look at the quarterback series on Netflix. We both watched that, and again, it's like
insanely positive.
Yeah.
Insanely positive.
Yeah. Because really the most negative thing that they've done is how things turned on Kirk Cousins at the end of last season in Atlanta, because he ends up getting benched, and all that.
But he was insanely positive about the whole situation, and they spun it that way. I shouldn't even say spun it that way, because I think that's kind of how he is and who he is.
Yeah, he's just a positive person in general.
Yeah, and I mean, he goes to great clips.
Yeah, and like look at that, great clips, got a free plug out of the whole thing.
Right.
Kirk Cousins, who was already cheap enough to go to Great Clips to begin with. No offense, Great Clips, but he was cheap enough to go to Great Clips to begin with. And as it turned out, now he's got free haircuts for the rest of his life from Great Clips.
I will never understand how multimillionaires get all the free stuff.
I know.
That makes no sense to me.
I know.
It's all good. Hey, good for him.
That's going to do it for today's show. We've got South Bend Cubs baseball coming up next here on Sports Radio WSBT. Vince and I will be back tomorrow as we continue in the wacky world of radio, sports radio, WSBT with IrishBreakdown.com and Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat. We will talk to you tomorrow.